Coming to active listening, is a huge part of our work. Um, so active listening is nothing. It's just actually active listening. It's very simple. There's no major thing to it. It's just listen to things carefully. I mean, before I officially started, officially went off to study sound to get my diploma, I approached my mentor Amit Datta, and I've known him for 20 years exactly now. So I've always asked him for ideas, like অমিতা এটা কিভাবে অ্যাপ্রোচ করা যায়, এই জিনিস নিয়ে আমি শিখতে চাই, তো হাউ ডু আই, অ্যান্ড হি টোল্ড মি সামথিং, দিস ওয়াজ লাইক 15 years ago, he told me something which I would still do. যে there are these very traditional methods of ear training, not like piano te C bajao, C gao and shono, not like that. Traditional methods like you take a pen and paper, stand in the middle of the traffic signal and listen and jot down what all you listen. Like একটা ট্রাফিক সিগন্যালে ফেসিং গড়িয়াহাট, সে ট্রেডার্স অ্যাসেম্বলির দিকে মুখ করে আমি শুনছি, অর দিস পিপল হু আর প্লেয়িং চেস তার নিচে, ওখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আই এম জাস্ট লিসনিং conversations, listen to sounds, listen to autos, listen to the galagali kistis that are coming from this bus conductor, listen to whatever, these chopwala is selling, whatever, hawkers, so just stand there, face one direction, one side, and listen to what's happening around you. We've got 2 years, like but we can tell what's happening at the back of our head as well. So that's how we are wired, and that's again psychoacoustics. That's our perception of sound. There's sound that is being projected to you, and sound what you are perceiving. So there can be these two. There is always a difference. কোন লেভেলে তোমরা ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি শুনতে পাচ্ছ আর কোন লেভেলে আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি, there is again a difference. Frequency response, মানে some of you might be able to hear a particular bass note or a particular voice louder or clearer than me, so this is all auditory perception, and it falls under psychoacoustics. So this was a training. Like currently, like I know they've done a swell job of covering all the windows, but still, if we be silent for a minute, shono kotheke ki awaj hasche, let's do this exercise. I'll ask you in a minute. Yeah, I think we are at a minute. এর বেশি আমি নিজেও মনে রাখতে পারবো না, honestly. I have a terrible memory. Okay, so tell everyone, in fact, এক এক করে বলো, like what all did you hear?
Loud sound.
Yeah.
There's one bass on the arm. AC run.
Yeah. There was third of a stool outside when put down. There was an auto track. Yeah. And the AC went down. So
It's off now.
It's off now. There's a generator.
There's a sound like laptop or pump or soft vehicle wheels when it breaks.
This is, Ekdalia, so lot of very good place to experiment with this. Yeah, that was probably a generator. like when they pull it and then kind of, yeah. Anything else? No? Shut the sound. Shut the sound. Okay. I heard someone like possibly, I didn't see, but someone like kind of folded or something, so I heard that. One of you took a very deep breath, like, oh damn, kokun shesh hobe. Like, so that, yeah. Trust me, yeah, I totally understand if it is kind of, but no one ever speaks of these things, and I know it might get a little boring for a few people, honestly. But this is exactly why I'm doing this, because that awareness, and I wish our parents had done this, had attended these sessions, or if ever there was these sessions, or had paid some detail to this, because আমাদের সময় like sound engineer হবে, like টাকা পয়সা নেই, আছে ওটা কি চাকরি, so I got enrolled in CA, I did foundation, I did part of inter, and then I'm like, nah. Then my parents looked at me আর বললো যে তুই পারবি না, তোর দ্বারা হবে না, তুই লোকজনকে মেরে ফেলে দিবি কিছু একটা রাস্তায় যেতে, ছেড়ে দে তুই গান বাজনা কর. So I was like, okay, fine. Then got into jobs and stuff, and yeah, and then even then I knew that I was headed this way. So I did like 4 or 5 years of IT. I did a lot of that as well, and stuff. And then nothing goes waste though. Honestly, nothing actually went waste, because 2010 I was in Bombay, Sound.com, best audio rental company till date in India, doing being a network audio network engineer for Commonwealth Games 2010. So I designed that entire like stack of 54 amplifiers that played in Delhi on the ground, so that those few years of Wipro IT and HBC IT, like mainframes, whatever, that kind of got me into this, so I kind of told myself ki na theek ache, like whatever I've studied didn't go waste, so I wasn't kind of so initially I was disappointed je ha eto derite sound ta finally porte jacchi, because I started studying about it in 96 97 98, and I finally got my chance to quit everything and study this in 2008-9, so there was a nice 10-12 year long wait time for me to finally be there and do that, but I guess nothing, nothing, I have nothing to regret, because I knew exactly what I wanted, and every one of us needs that time to be absolutely sure that this is what you want. Which is why when I hire new guys, or when I work with newer people in my area of work, I mean, I don't expect them to have that kind of hardcore, desire to like work and all, because these things have not been taught. We have never been taught these things. You cannot be no one can teach you what your passion is going to be, So yeah, I mean, kind of sound geeks stuff, I guess. So anyway, so yeah, so what we heard, like these sounds, so this is exactly the kind of training that I have always been doing, when I went into studying, this actually is a class. It's called stereo imaging, we listen to songs, we listen to stuff like things, and we try to position sounds, like kotheke kon direction theke ki awaj ashlo, and this is active listening, like the minute micro details that you heard a generator or an AC or a shutter of a camera, this detail is active listening. And we, like, the more we can focus, the more clearer we can, like, clearly we can hear these things out. You'll actually realize that in day-to-day activities, things are changing, you're actually more focused. It helps in focusing in studies, because you are actually focusing and listening into something. So it kind of is therapeutic, it becomes like a therapy. You're just helping yourself get a lot of focus by just listening. Shut your eyes and listen, you know. That's another thing, you know. I would shut my eyes. The second thing Amit had taught me was, যখন শুতে যাবি তখনও চোখ বন্ধ করে তখন শুনবি, লাইক এখান থেকে ঝিঝি পোকার ডাক আসছে, ওখান থেকে কিছু আসছে, ওখান থেকে whatever it is. So it becomes a 24-hour thing for me, you know. So, and that helped me focus in everything. So be it studies, be it like, you know, work, be it whatever, it helps you calm down, one, and and completely, like, you know, be very, very observant of your surroundings. So know your surroundings and focus in what's around you, and you know, and same thing will automatically get applied when you start listening to music tonight. You know, now that you have heard this, I'm sure like when you go back and listen to music, you'll start hearing a few things differently of the same song that you've been hearing. একই গান আমরা রোজ রোজ শুনছি, আজকে রাত্রে গিয়ে you try to listen to it with that detail, not like just lyrical content, because also Indian music এ আমরা কিন্তু অনেকটা lyrical content এর উপর like, you know, like চাপটা দিই আর কি. So the music has always in a mix also, মিউজিকটা কিন্তু অনেক নিচে, আমাদেরকেও কমার্শিয়াল মিক্সের জন্য অনেক নিচে রাখতে বলে, মিউজিকটা এই লেভেলে থাকলো আর ভয়েসটা ওই লেভেলে থাকলো. ইটস আ ভেরি অড কম্বিনেশন. আই থিঙ্ক খুব পুরোনো সময়, লাইক ভেরি লাইক many years down, decades ago, listening to Nat King Cole and all of those, that era of music, the balances were a little off because music was always lower, voice was always higher, and that has become a trend in even Bollywood and forever. You know, everyone tends to recreate that space. The music ta pechone thakbe, vocal ta age thakbe. But why was that so? Because earlier the technology was like that, you know. তখন vocalsকে আরেকটু for projecting on through radio and stuff, vocalsকে একটু প্রায়োরিটাইজ করার জন্য তাকে হয়তো পজিশনটাই সামনে এসে করলো, পেছনে পুরো ব্যান্ডটাকে দুটো মাইক দিয়ে দিল, সামনে একটা এঁকে দিল, or whatever, or they would just have one mic initially to start with. They will like, you know, project the vocalist up front and people will sit behind them, and so যে যেমন পজিশন আছে সামনে একটা মাইকে পুরোটা ক্যাপচার হচ্ছে. So obviously vocals, lyrical content taking the front seat and the rest of them being behind, and then they would obviously their own dynamics comes in play, and তারা কতটা কম বেশি করে বাজাচ্ছে along with the song, that's a different game, that's up to them. So there were a lot of these things which made the music, like which produce the music the way that we listen to them nowadays, you know. So ওইটাকে অনেক সময় blindly follow করে ওইটা একটা সিন হয়ে গেছে যে like, you know, যে Bollywood music, we always hear the vocals way too loud. They are not sitting in the mix. If you listen to it to them clearly, they're always way too loud, you know. So vocals are way too loud. Like musicians always take a back seat. And if you listen to modern stereo mixes of stereo songs, mostly album and production, অনেক ভালো অ্যালবামে দেখবে যেগুলো নন কমার্শিয়াল Indian music, there have been a lot of such production where things have been blended very well, even for commercial work. In fact, movies Dil Chahta Hai, the title track, you know, and then Breathless, I think ওই এরার যে indie pop music also, these things were kind of blended very well, you know, in I guess because ওই সময় there was a lot of transition was happening in from analog to digital, and a lot of people tried to figure out where to place things, and তখনও things hadn't been destroyed ওরম ভাবে যে going for loudness, সব কিছু জোরে জোরে শোনো, মানে জোরে যদি শুনতে হয় তাহলে সব কিছুই শোনা যাবে. It's how our ears are designed. If you have to put the volume at max, you will obviously hear everything, you know, but that's not how we perceive sound. You know, if I will not get technical, but there's something you can actually go back and search, equal loudness curve বলে একটা জিনিস আছে, technical, but it is not so technical if you just read it once. It's basically how our ears are trained to hear a lot of bass by default and a certain amount of highs by default. So there's a actual curve, frequency curve of how like a sound wave is, and then there's a curve of how we perceive it. সো বাই ডিফল্ট আমরা কিন্তু একটা পার্টিকুলার ভলিউমে একটা গানের মানে মিক্সটা ওরমভাবে শুনছি, ইউনো। সো অনেক সময় আমাকে ক্লায়েন্টসরা বলে যে দাদা এটার না বেসটা শোনা যাচ্ছে না, দেন আই এম হিয়ারিং, আই আস্ক দেম যে কোথায় শুনছেন, হেলি লাইক মোবাইলের স্পিকার থেকে, লাইক দাদা মোবাইলের স্পিকার থেকে ওটা শোনা যাবে না, ইউনো, দ্যাটস নট হাউ ইটস ডিজাইন। অর ইভেন দে ওয়ান্ট ইট লাউডার, ইউনো, লাইক আরেকটু লাউড, আরেকটু লাউড, আরেকটু লাউড. That's become a trend now in the last 7-8 years. There's something called loudness wars, where like, you know, people are trying to produce music way too loud, you know. This is again because এখন মিডিয়াম অফ লিসনিং চেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছে। এখন 100 টাকার একটা ইয়ার প্লাগেও সবাই শুনছি আমরা, আবার এই স্পিকার্সেও অনেকে শুনছে, আবার বাড়ির হোম থিয়েটারে শুনছে। সো দ্য মিডিয়াম হ্যাজ নাও চেঞ্জ টু এনিথিং অ্যান্ড এভরিথিং, you know. So, and of course mobile থেকে actually people listen to that forever. Like if you take a local trend, সারাক্ষণ মোবাইল থেকে হয় directly speakers থেকে শুনছে বা হেডফোন earplugs নিয়ে, like, you know, with like maybe 50 rupees earplugs, 100 rupees earplugs, they're so use and throw these days. So it's kind of, so in order to project that music, the only way is to make it loud in some ways. That's what they say, you know. But that also ruins the dynamics of the song, you know. That also has ruined the entire like structure of these, how these artists have tried to express them, because ultimately we need to understand music is about expression, you know. It is an expression. It cannot be anything other than that primarily. Even when it's being written for a film, it is essentially an expression of that particular scene. Yes, হ্যাঁ, মানে ফিল্মের জন্য লেখা হয়েছে আলাদা ব্যাপার, কিন্তু জিনিসটা তো ওটাই, ইটস অ্যান এক্সপ্রেশন, ইউনো। সো ওটার মধ্যেও আইডিয়ালি এভরিথিং, বাট ইফ ইউ লিসেন অ্যাক্টিভলি নাও, ইফ ইউ লিসেন টু দ্য সেম সংস ইন বলিউড অর হোয়াটএভার, লাইক বাংলা টলিউড মিউজিক অর হোয়াটএভার, তখন দেখবে সব কিছু কিন্তু একটা মানে দোতারা বাজছে বিশাল জোরে, মানে গিটারের লেভেলে দোতারা বাজছে ওই সাউন্ডে, লাইক, ইউনো। Is that how it's supposed to, was it how it's supposed to be? Is it a form of expression, or is just made to, like, you know, there's no dynamic mane, there has to be some difference in throw, like expression again, you know, like soft, like, you know, or louder or harsher or whatever. So সেই জিনিসগুলো, and again percussions বেজে যাচ্ছে তো সমান ভাবে বেজে যাচ্ছে, a lot of times that is considered very good, a lot of times drums, like exact measures, Jojo Mayer, exact measure of dynamics, you know, great drummer. So that is, for that genre it works perfect. Like drum and bass, you have to give that groove, everything has to be flat steady, kintu that is applicable for that genre. Kintu ekta funk track e, like if I apply that, তাতে ডাইনামিক কিছু থাকলেই না, মনে হবে যে কম্পিউটার প্রোগ্রাম করে বাজানো হচ্ছে, you see. So dynamics is what human expression is, you know, ultimately at the end of the day. So throw and expression, emotions, that is what is ultimately that, you know. So oitake project kora, I think that's something that has been losing importance for a while now, you know, because a lot of music is being produced in a computerized manner, laptop niye, electronic music and stuff. When that is being blended with an acoustic form of sound, either an acoustic guitar or a dotara or vocals, violin, so that blend becomes very difficult. Why? কারণ কম্পিউটার থেকে যে মিউজিকটা আমরা পাচ্ছি, an electronically produced keyboard দিয়ে, that is already mixed and mastered, that sound is already set to their highest level of clean stuff. It's clean audio set at high level, and it is being projected digitally. So obviously I'm not getting into the ones and zeros of it, but that I have to blend with a very organic sounding mic দিয়ে record kora dotara in an environment, or mic দিয়ে record kora violin and cello and so on. So blending these two is basically fighting between digital form of sound and an acoustic form of sound, which have very different dynamic range, which have very different frequency responses, different curves altogether, you know. So how are you going to blend them in? That becomes a challenge, yes. And সেটা অ্যাচিভ করতে গিয়ে অনেক সময় that whole spectrum gets kind of মানে ঘেটে যায় অথবা অনেকে শুনতে পায় না কয়েকটা জিনিস, and you know, and then they just ask কি আরো loud করো. So obviously if you project everything loud enough, you're going to be able to hear everything, you know. So loudness is, so my point being, loudness shouldn't be the key factor. You should be able to hear things at a very nominal volume, hear everything clearly at a nominal volume. And for that, when we mix digital and analog together, we have to remember the digital sound might be clear, but it's always also very loud. So we have to like bring it down, balance it, cut out any frequencies that are clashing with the analog, with the acoustic recorded voices, you know. So there is absolutely no clash. So basically we are creating wells and little buckets for another sound to fit in, you know. That's also kind of my approach when I work with sound, যে আমি সবসময় একটা bucket create করি so that একটা স্পেসেতে দুটো জিনিস ফাইট না করে. That's how we make sure that people, two other sounds are not fighting for space. যেটা হয় আলাদা আলাদা spectrum of instruments নিয়ে, যেমন kick drum, bass drum, like, you know, some forms of percussion which are only low, baritone, and low mid, say viola, holo, and you know, some parts of guitar, and violins, upper range, and then voices, and so flutes and stuff. So basically we divide these things professionally into 4 different zones or 5-6 different zones, like lows and low mids and high mids and highs and so on. So সেরকম ভাবে যদি classify করি, then it becomes easier. And again, active listening, that's how I try to perceive music when I'm listening to this. A lot of, I don't know if you'll remember this, but how many of you have watched Hadyn? Anything that hit you, that you remember distinctly about Hadyn? Anything sound wise compared to other films? It was a great film, that's a different case, but obviously audio wise, anything that you can distinguishly, that you can actually remember about Hadyn? Like what do you think was kind of different, like sound wise, with it as compared? There was a very distinct difference. Maybe I follow the subject, maybe when I into the subject hoyto tai jonne I've heard it more clearly, but I feel like there was a distinct difference in the sound of Hadyn.
So it's kind of orchestra and those sort of drum.
অতটাও detail na, just very one simple detail.
Just shouting.
Oh God, no, not that. No. Okay, no, I mean, it's fine actually, because it's way too simple, but when I look at a movie, I also listen to these things, you know. Hadyn, I feel in the last many years, in fact, is the only movie which has allowed a lot of sub-bass in the film. If you go back and listen to Hadyn on headphones maybe, or better speakers, you know, like, or theater again, jodi abar ashe, watch it, and you will find that films e kintu oi level er sub bass kokhono daye na keu. Mane the floor would rumble every time there was like jhilam or any other track playing, or even a background score, or like a hit, knock on the door, or whatever it is. So there was a lot of sub bass build that was there in the film, you know, and that Vishal Bhardwaj made sure that was there. It was not a glitch, it was not a thing with the setup of the theater, but he made sure that there was that sub bass. Why? Because bass is basically omnidirectional and vibrational, you know. We feel it before we hear it. You know, earthquakes, you will never feel it, you never obviously feel it, or you feel pukish, you feel dizzy, and then you see that ekta pakha notche apne ap notche, you know, then you realize, oh shit, it's an earthquake, you know. So that's basically a vibration as something as low as 12 hertz or 14 hertz or even lower, that oi vibration ta oi oscillation oi rate te hocche bole you're feeling dizzy, you're feeling giddy, and you might even feel pukish, you know. You stand in the middle of a flyover, right in the center of a flyover or a bridge, like, you know, they don't allow you to, but you can sneak in and stand in the middle of Howrah Bridge. the new one. সেটা আমরা করেছি গাড়ি থামিয়ে আর কি দাঁড়িয়ে পুলিশ চেস করছে এই দাঁড়াবে না এখানে, but just to get that feeling আর কি, like দাঁড়িয়ে থেকে and then just stand in the center of the bridge, and even for 2 seconds or 1 second you will actually feel almost that you are almost about to puke. Some of you might just feel giddy, and definitely feel giddy and dizzy আর কি মনে হবে যে it's basically the same effect as vertigo, you know. So আমাদের hearing range, active hearing range starts from 20 hertz, but these are way below that. So those are subharmonic frequency, in fact infra, you know. So I think, yeah, so aro lower, so we won't hear them, we will feel them. Tar opore gele sub frequency, sub bass and stuff that we hear in clubs. I would visit clubs only when I'm doing sound. I don't want to kill my ears. I don't enjoy that অতটা, তাই জন্য sound করতে হলে তখন I go tune up and all. So ওখানে we have, as system tuners, we need to make sure that people are like on their toes at all times. Why that would happen is by giving them a lot of like lot of bass, because bass is felt first and then we would hear it actively actually. Yeah, you can half the times you will not be able to tell eta kon note bachche bass ete, like, you know, like, but you will definitely feel like you can feel that thump, you can feel that whole, like, you know, kick happening inside your body. You'll actually feel it in your body, you know. So yeah, so films at Modde, I think Haider actually had a lot of that bass introduced, you know, which is not very আমরা হয়তো ওগুলো অ্যাভেঞ্জার্স আর এইসব সিরিজে আমরা দেখি বাইরে, like, you know, a lot of Hollywood movies we actually feel a lot of that impact when we watch it. But in Indian movies I've only seen Haider so far that have actually introduced that kind of low end rumble. Also the rumble is always there around us, like you said, the generator sound. If you go out on the streets, সারাক্ষণ একটা rumble আছে, মানে হয় কোনো AC থেকে আসছে বা কোথাও থেকে, we might not hear it, but it's constantly there, you know. And so there's always a lot of that energy built up around us, you know. So that's something that again falls under like active listening when we trying to listen or when you're trying to project this music, you know. So a lot of directors have, like, a lot of short film directors, my friends and all, they've asked me to add rumble, you know, to their story because to make it sound like natural arektu, you know. So like, you know, so there are some movies who've done that, who've, like, you know, like Hollywood of course, and some European movies, I guess they make sure that it's realistic character. So for that they add a lot of rumble, not just sound. So when we are doing sound design, so we'd not just listen to the sounds that we are adding, like gari awaj or eta or ota. We need to focus on the lower end, what's happening on the absolute low end of it, because that is something that we will not hear, the audience will not hear, but they will feel. That will make them, put them right in the middle of that street that you're watching, which I don't see that happen in a lot of Bangla movies. I've seen a few of late, but oi level it's mostly on the higher end, you know. In fact, even Hindi movies I don't see that, just other than Haider recently that I saw. So ওইটাতেই আর কি আমি দেখলাম, তো ওই রাম্বলটা যতক্ষণ না হচ্ছে then you kind of feel alienated একটুখানি. And so if you start watching movies again from now on, I'm sure you'll apply these thoughts. I hope you apply these thoughts, and then you'll find the difference in experience. You will actually experience it differently from now on, you know, like if you apply this, because actively listening, actively feeling that rumble. In fact, jodi na hoy, then you'll, like, you know, you'll know that there's something wrong with the arrangement of that speaker or with the projection, you know.